there, you guys. Long time no see. I'm Jerleigh Thompson with Texel Real Estate, and I'm here with Kristin Gerst with Capricorn Mortgage, and we are the Real Estate Divas, and we haven't been doing this for a second. So we're back, and we're excited to be back, and super excited about our guest today. We're going to be covering the topic of investing in self-storage, which is a topic that Kristin and I have been discussing for a while.
Couple years.
Yeah, and I am so excited for our guest today. Kristin, you want to go ahead and...
Yeah, so I mean, in just talking about self-storage, according to the Self-Storage Association, there are more than 54,000 self-storage facilities in the U.S., and it generates around $39 billion a year.
Dang.
So it's a huge industry. There's only about 10% of U.S. households that actually use storage, but when you think about how many households that is, it's a lot. And, most of these things end up renting long-term. More than half of them will rent for a year or more.
Wow. Well, I mean, I know just from dealing with clients, it ends up being, and especially when you're moving in between places, pre-purchase of a home, in between purchases. I mean, you use them for all, and the fact that you can go month to month or 3 months at a time, it's a fantastic deal.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and introduce our guest, Stacy Rossetti. She is a expert in this field and actually teaches and mentors and has been investing for years. Stacy, welcome to Real Estate Divas. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you very much for having me on today. I'm honored.
Well, we're excited that you're here.
So jumping right into it, why do people use self-storage? I know there's a variety of reasons, but, how many different reasons are out there for people to use it?
So, basically the self-storage industry is recession-proof. And the reason why I say it's recession-proof. And the reason why is because in an upturn, people are always, they're buying more stuff. And so they're getting rid of the stuff in their old, in their house or whatever, and moving new stuff in. So it's a lot of, good, positive buying, right? And then in a downturn, people are, either losing their jobs, or they're trying to downsize and get smaller, and, budget better. And so because of that, they're getting rid of a lot of stuff and moving it into storage facilities as well. So in an upturn and a downturn, the self-storage industry is always doing pretty good.
Well, and Jerleigh, you were saying that a lot of your clients use it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it, as we've discussed before, being in the industry whenever the bubble hit and we had the recession prior to all of this COVID stuff. You see people downsizing, like you said, and then when things are hot, they're in between building a home, and it doesn't always coincide with selling your home. So now you're in an apartment or some sort of short-term rental, and you're in between places, but you don't want to get rid of everything. I mean, that's a house full of stuff. Or your college student has moved home, and you've already done something with their room, and now their stuff needs to go in storage, and there's no room in your garage, and or in between, or divorces. I mean, there's just a plethora of reasons out there.
Well, and something that we have a lot of here in Texas, military bases.
Absolutely.
Because when people are shipped overseas or on something, they need to, of course, put all their stuff in storage before they go.
Well, Stacy, how did you, I know that you were flipping homes and you kind of did that prior to getting into storage. What made you kind of veer into that aspect of investing?
I got pregnant.
That changes everything. I swear.
Yes,
that's
does.
like a pivotal moment in my life too.
Yeah. So when I got pregnant, I was actually doing 20 rehabs at the same time. Wow. And when I was doing those 20 rehabs, in my mind, as a woman and as a mother to be, I was thinking to myself, how am I going to manage 20 rehabs at a time and have like a little tiny baby? There's just no way that you can do this at all. I mean, even if everybody knows even one rehab, you're running around like a crazy person, right? So essentially, as soon as I got pregnant, I just told my husband, I said, we're not going to do rehabs anymore. I'm stopping. And we're going to just focus on passive income, because at that time we were doing a lot of rehabs, but it's when you do rehabs, you never know when you're going to get paid. You never know.
Yeah,
right?
that's a long term.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, yeah, that can be long term, depending on what the market's doing and what price range and all of that.
Yeah, you don't really know when you're going to get paid. It could take months to sell. You could say, oh, I'm going to do this rehab in 6 months. And then like a year later, you're still stuck in a rehab, right? So essentially what I did was I just told my husband, like, we need to focus on passive income, because we've been focusing the last, amount of years, 6 or 7 years, on just active income and making all this money, but we're not focusing it all on passive income. So that's what I did, is I went out and I started to really just kind of look around and see what kind of deals were out there. So I looked at multifamily, I looked at large and small. I looked at buying like portfolios of houses, and I was like, I'll just buy like 10 or 20 or 30 houses at a time. And then I looked at, and then luckily a storage facility got like literally fell into my lap, and so I went and took a look at that as well.
So do you primarily do you buy already existing projects, or are you buying land and developing brand new storage facilities?
So the way that storage, like the storage industry works, is there's 3 different ways for you to invest in it. Okay, one of them is that you can go out and you can build a storage facility. So you can go out and you can buy land and and get studies done and get the zoning done and then build it, just like new construction, just the same kind of steps, but for like these storage facilities. And another way is that you can buy mismanaged properties. All right. And mismanaged properties are kind of like, rehabs or whatever, except for that when you're rehabbing it, you're really just like you're updating the management process of it, right? So you can buy mismanaged facilities. And then the third way, there's actually 2 more ways. The third way is you can buy cash flowing properties. You can get out there and you can buy cash flowing. So businesses that are doing well, right? You can buy those. And then the fourth way you can get into storage is you can wholesale storage facilities. And what I do is I actually mostly buy mismanaged properties. And the reason I buy mismanaged is because I'm a rehabber at heart. That's really what I am, right? So I'm okay with going and buying dumpy facilities, holding on to them, and then like value adding them, right? So that's what I do, is I buy mostly mismanaged properties. But what happens with the mismanaged property is that you have to come out of pocket every single month while you're fixing it up and taking care of it, right? So what I'll do is I'll go out and buy a cash flowing property to offset the mismanaged property, right? So if a property that's making a couple $1,000s a month net, I can use that couple $1,000s and funnel it into a property that I have to come out of pocket. So I kind of balance it that way.
So when you're talking about
also wholesale storage facilities as well. So if I come across something that I don't want, then I'll just wholesale it to somebody else.
Absolutely. Nice. So when you say a property is mismanaged, what do you mean by the property is mismanaged?
Yes, so they're usually anywhere from 20 to 50% occupied. I would say 75% and under is considered kind of mismanaged, but the really good ones are going to be like 25 to 50% unoccupied. And then another thing that owners do, that sellers do, is for the mismanaged properties, is they don't have any books. They have no books. They're pocketing that money, right? They're taking cash only or checks, and they're just pocketing that money, and they're not putting that information into a P&L and a balance sheet, right? So a good cash flowing property, you can take it to a bank and you can get a loan on it because you've got a P&L and a balance sheet. But a mismanaged property, you don't have any of that stuff. And all the ones that I've ever bought, the owners are taking everything on a yellow notepad or Post-it notes, and they have no numbers at all. So that's a mismanaged property.
Okay, so because, it's a storage facility, so I can't imagine that there's going to be a ton of rehab involved or something like that. I mean, you're talking about essentially a bunch of garages.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically when you buy a mismanaged property, what I tell all my students, what I teach is like, you got to train your tenants. You got to systematize and automate your business. And what I do is I automate my business so much so that I can be anywhere in the world and run my storage facilities, right? And we travel, my husband and I, that's another thing we love about storage facilities. We travel about 6 months out of the year. We're about to take a 2-month vacation here coming up this weekend. So what we do is we automate it so much so and systematize it that you can be anywhere in the world and manage them. So that means that it's electronic. It's completely electronic, everything that you do, number one. And then number two, you got to train your tenants. You got to train your tenants to follow your rules, right? Otherwise, if you don't do that, then they're going to just take advantage of you. Right.
Absolutely.
And so essentially, like what we do is like we say, okay, like rent is due on the 1st. If you don't pay it by the 5th, you're late. On the 15th, we overlock your facility, and by the 25th, if you don't pay, we start the auction process. And essentially, what happens when you do that is you're training your tenants, right, so that they actually pay.
Well, and that was going to be my next question is obviously because we're talking about storage facilities and it's not a place where anybody's living. Then, I mean, the eviction process or just locking it up and auctioning, then I would think that that's such a short process and you can do it just kind of at a drop of a hat if they're not abiding by your rules and regulations.
Exactly. So you want to check the laws for every single state. They're all different, but they're all kind of the same. Like, so in the state of Georgia, we have a 14-day period where if they don't pay within like 14 days, then you can just start the auction process, right? And and the auction process actually takes 14 days. So if they're late on whatever day you have your due date on, you could even start the auction process there. But then you have to just know all the laws of your state, essentially. But yeah, you can get those people out within 30 days or 45 days. They can be put out. Now, what happens is that sellers just don't do that. They're just nice, and then people just start taking advantage, and then that way they just get further and further behind.
And before you know it, you're 6 months behind, never going to catch up.
Absolutely.
Exactly. That's exactly what happens, right? So those are the facilities that I love.
Do you have managers on your facilities?
So we do everything in-house, and the way we operate is we have an office manager. And the thing that I love about storage facilities is that it's not a lot of work. It's not a lot of work, right?
Yeah. Once you get your systems in place,
the one thing with storage facilities is that you got to answer the phone. Right. So from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night, somebody is going to be calling you and you don't know when they're going to be calling you. So that's kind of the only annoying thing about storage facilities. And so you just have to I'm not going to answer those calls. Right. So somebody has to answer the calls. Right. So that's kind of like our office manager handles all that, handles all the tenants. And then we have like a boots on the ground person that goes out and does like the overlocking and maintains the facilities and picks up all the trash so everybody leaves behind and stuff like that. So those are the two people that we have for all of our facilities.
So why are people calling that often?
Checking rates, I would imagine.
Are they checking rates, or are they just asking questions?
They're just calling and checking rates and trying to get quotes and stuff like this, you know?
I mean, I know
that's one thing with storage facilities that people don't understand is that when you buy a storage facility, you're actually buying a retail business, right? So like people are always like, how do I find them? How do I fund them? But they don't really think, how do I run them? Right. And so that's the one thing you don't think about. And so you have to have somebody answering those calls. You have to have somebody available to help if you can't get in the gate. You got to take tenants in. You've got to clean up the units. And so you got to run these businesses. And a lot of people just kind of miss out on that whole step.
Now, as far as running the businesses, what do you do for security? Is it just security cameras? Is it automated as well, I would imagine?
Well, so it just depends on your location. I mean, we have facilities where there's like a gate, there's like fence and like a gate and a camera. And then we have some facilities that don't have anything at all.
Yeah.
No fence, no gate, nothing.
Just the door. Just the door with the lock.
That's it. They're just open. And those are kind of more out in the country. You know, those are more out in the country, essentially. You'll see that more and more and more.
So that brings me to my second question, or my next question. When you were first starting out, did you look more in the city or was it more rural? I mean, was there a target audience when you were looking for those properties that were mismanaged?
So the way that the storage industry works is it's, you're buying a commercial property. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you've got to understand commercial deal analysis. And you've got to understand cap rate, ROI, cash on cash return, yield, debt service ratio. You've got to understand these terms. You got to be able to evaluate the properties. When you are inside a city, right? Your cap rate is going to be lower than when you go outside of the city. The further out of the city, your cap rate gets higher. Okay. So essentially what you've got to figure out is what kind of cap rate do you want, right? So me personally, I like double-digit cap rates. This is what I like. And a lot of like the big box companies and these types of companies, they want, they're okay with 5 to 7% cap rate. They've got a lot of money to spend. They can spend millions of dollars and go into a city and then build and do this kind of stuff. Whereas most of the people, we don't have that much money, or we don't want to spend that much money on one building, right? So for me personally, what I ask myself is, okay, I want to make a couple $100,000 on a property. I can go and borrow $2 million and then value add that property, a couple $100,000, or I can borrow $200,000 and value add that property for a couple $100,000. Why would I borrow $2 million and value add it for a couple $100,000 when I can just borrow a couple $100,000 and do it? So in the city, you're going to borrow more money and you're going to value add, and it comes out to a little bit more value add, but essentially it's not really a lot more value add, right? And then outside of the country and further outside the city, you can borrow more for less and actually make the same amount of money.
So when you're talking about value adding to these properties, is it basically just getting them leased up and probably, I'm assuming, raising the rents on them? And what does that come down to? Marketing? Your skill on marketing to get the word out that you have storage units available?
You got it. So essentially it's like there's a 3-step process, right? Number one, you got to find them, and you've got to find the storage facilities that are not on the market. Because if you look at a facility on the market, it's going to be a 5 to 7% cap rate. That's just how it is, because that's how real estate brokers run their numbers, is they just say, oh, I know people just want 5 to 7% cap rate, so we're going to run it. And every once in a while, you'll see like an 8 cap or something, and people just like, and then they just go after it, right? You've got to find those hidden properties that are not on the MLS, right? The hidden market. That's kind of the first step, right? The second step is you got to fund them. You got to find the money to fund these mismanaged properties. You can't go out and get a loan, so you got to borrow money for that from somebody else. I use private lenders to borrow and then after a couple of years, I can refi those out. Right, and then the third step is running it. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, when we're talking about lending, because people kind of freak out on that, they're going, okay, well, I want one of these distressed properties, but how do I go get financing for it? Private lender, that's even a hard money lender.
Yeah.
So a hard money lender
a
hard money lender can lend on commercial property.
You got it.
For what I do in buying and selling notes, hard money lenders won't touch that. I mean, I can't borrow money to go buy notes, but in any commercial property, especially when it's non-owner occupied, you've got a plethora of hard money lenders that are lending
on that sort of thing.
And there's so many lenders out there that will lend on storage facilities because they know
what it can do.
I have one lender that I work with, and he's like, oh yeah, we'll lend on storage facility any day, because it's like they never foreclose. You never hardly ever see a storage facility foreclosing. Unless it's like
and that's a good point.
Like
that's a really good point.
Facility or something like this.
But yet there's a lot of listening to you, you're suggesting that there are a lot of distressed deals out there.
There's a lot of people this is the thing, is there's a lot of sellers. There's a lot of people that say, I want to invest in storage facilities, and then they go out and they find it and they build it and they put on their land or whatever they do, but they miss that third step, and
they don't know how to
run them,
and how to run a business, and how to
run it so you're actually making money,
right,
and running it properly. And a lot of these people are free and clear, right? So they're free and clear, so they don't care how much money they make, because they're like, oh yeah, well, I could make $5,000, but I'm making $3,000, so who cares?
It's gravy.
Yeah. I'm saying.
Well, and these people would have been.
A lot of sellers are out there like that.
And these people would have been the ones better off to go and maybe invest in a REIT that does, storage facilities,
and they just get paid,
or just passively invest in somebody like yourself.
Yep.
Or invest in me, or get into my coaching program.
Yeah.
So I told you how to taught you how to do it.
I'm talking about the people who don't want to do work.
Yeah.
Who build it, but then are like, okay, well, I just thought the money would come and I don't have to do anything.
Well,
Well,
and
I mean, the truth is like small businesses. I mean, most small businesses, they don't make like 3 to 5 years, right? Because people just don't know how to truly run businesses unless you educate yourself. They're like, oh, I have this idea, and they do the idea, and then after that, they're like, oh crap, now what do I do?
yeah,
Correct.
that happens all the time.
Is there a really great book out there on like how to run a storage facility or anything like that?
Are you
There's
writing
really
a book?
not a lot of books out there, honestly. Go and look. There's not a lot of good books out there on this. And it's really, as I said, it's such a small industry. It's really a small industry and a small community, and a lot of the same people are buying a lot of the storage facilities.
Wow. Well, and that's
Yeah.
that reminds me a little bit of billboards.
Yeah.
Yes.
For a long time, I knew some associates of mine that they were in the billboard business, and it was a very small community. It's a very niche market, and if they were not a corporation trying to gather these up, then you pretty much knew everybody in that game.
Yes, that's exactly how the storage industry is. It's like you've got the big box companies, because basically the way that the storage industry works is like 85% of all storage facilities are mom and pop shops, right? And then 15% are like the big box, right?
Yep.
And so the big box, they're the ones that come into the cities and they go downtown and they build up, they buy all the old ones and then they build up, right? And then us little people out there, we go around and we scoop up all the ones that none of the big box companies want, essentially.
So if you have on-site management, and I know you've got an office manager to manage everything that you're doing, but if you have on-site management, how much are those managers typically paid?
I mean, so like to do like the higher property management, it could be anywhere from like 10 to 25% of whatever you make.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's expensive, and honestly, the truth is that it's not like you're making a lot of money on these storage facilities. You're making a couple $1,000s net maybe a month. That's why you always want to have do volume, right?
Right.
So, because you can run. I mean, we have about right now we have around maybe almost 550 doors, and actually in the storage investing world, they don't go by doors; they go by square footage. Right, because it's considered a warehouse. They're considered warehouses, right? So, but in terms, we have around 550 doors right now. We're about to buy another 150 doors. And actually, up until 550 doors, we've had a part-time office manager working 25 hours a week managing everything.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So now she's going to be bumped up to full-time once we close on this next facility that we're buying. But it doesn't take a lot of work. It doesn't take that much work. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
That's so
and that's
interesting.
good. I mean, once you get your processes in place and understand how to run the business and make sure you have your team in place, as you obviously do, what are the profit margins on something that's well run?
And occupancy
It's
rate.
all about so like we can go through like, for instance, mismanaged properties.
Well, I'm talking about when something is actually managed correctly. I mean, obviously, if
Okay,
something's
that's
being
what I was going to say.
mismanaged-
So like I have like for instance, I have an example of a mismanaged property that I bought for $250,000. It's actually one long facility, and it's got about 65 doors, something like this, and then all the way around it is parking. And we do a lot of parking is what we do as well. And then you calculate all together, it's coming out to about 120 spaces or units, right? And we make on average, we bought that for $250,000, and it was on the market. It was on the market for he wanted $500,000, and I told him he's crazy. I said $500,000 is what you would get if it was managed properly and it was 100% full. He was like, it is 100% full, and I said, yeah, full of crap because nobody's paying, right? So essentially, I got him down to $250,000, and now it's 100% full, running great. I mean, there's a wait list, and it's worth at an 8 cap. It's worth probably $500,000 to $600,000, and
which is great because
so,
I mean, as you said, like the big REITs, And people who maybe would buy this on the back end after you got it performing are looking for a 5 or 6 cap, right? And so if you've got an 8 cap,
that's what I'm saying. So
I mean, so you could even sell it at more.
Clean it up, get it up and running. All the tenants are paying, and you don't have. We hardly ever have any moving out. Anybody moving out or anything. And so, and it takes a while to do that. But and then once you do that, I could just go and sell that thing at least. I know for at least 500,000, if not 600,000 now. And then the monthly, like my monthly, like cash flow for that is, it costs me probably around maybe $2,500 a month to run it. And I'm making anywhere from maybe $6,000 to $7,000 a month.
Wow. So for everybody out there watching, we would love you to comment, share our channel, follow Real Estate Divas if you like what you're seeing. We love questions, and I'm sure Stacy will even come back on afterwards and answer all the questions in the comments.
Well, we have one question right now from, let me see. Can you put that back up? Wilson, yeah. He wanted to know, so Stacy, when is your book on storage facilities hitting Amazon?
Good question. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah. I was like, yeah, we definitely need a book. If there's no, there are no books out there.
I'm actually going to be in a book. In a Bigger Pockets book.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is fantastic.
They contacted me and asked me if I could be in one of their books. So you can, Wilson, just read that chapter, all right?
And then put it down.
I mean, I'm not really a book writer. I can barely even sit still for like 5 minutes.
There's people for that. You just got to speak.
Yeah. Do you just put all your thoughts, vomit all your thoughts onto a recorder
and send it away?
And send it away and go, please make this coherent.
That is something I could probably do.
There you go. There you go. On one of your 2-month vacations.
And write a book.
Yeah. And we want to go ahead and welcome, I think there's several people watching from your Atlanta RIA, and so we wanted to welcome them.
South Atlanta RIA. I own the South Atlanta RIA.
South Atlanta RIA. So welcome.
I blasted it out to everybody so everybody could watch it.
Fantastic.
Yes.
We're excited y'all are here and watching. So explaining the whole occupancy and then revenue, do you also, I know you mentioned parking, so you charge for parking spots. Do you also do like RV?
Well, I'm assuming RV and boat storage.
Okay.
RV boat storage, right?
Yeah, RV boat storage, that sort of thing.
So we have one facility that has RV and boat storage, and then we actually have another facility that's kind of like in an industrial area, and we do truck parking for that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so we do like big rig parking, dump truck, tow trucks, box trucks. We actually do that.
I've got a total asshole that lives in my neighborhood who likes, all of a sudden, I'm like, what the hell is that? You're going to park that there? Yeah. I'm like, you can't park that there overnight.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's what we get. We get those big rig people that are like, they can't park in their subdivisions because of the HOA rules and stuff like that. So they park in our facility is what they do.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
No, I wouldn't either.
Huh.
But again, would that be, that's in an industrial area? Is that more in a rural area too? I mean,
no, actually, that's like right in the city.
Right in the city.
It's like a suburb of the Atlanta area.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you don't find a lot of HOAs out in the sticks.
Yeah.
No.
So
that's what. Yeah. So this is like a suburb right here in the Atlanta area, and we have a facility right there, and people just park their business. Like we have like a dump truck company, and they just park their dump trucks there, and then they come pick them up every Monday through Friday and do their routes or whatever, and then they come
drop
back.
them off. Interesting.
Stuff like that you can do.
Interesting.
So once you've got all these tenants paying again, and how far behind do you find that some of these tenants are? They don't really get that far behind because we don't let them. No, well, not yours, but I'm talking about when you take over something. I mean, because I have to imagine if somebody gets, 10 months behind, what are these things renting for? What, $80, $90, something around there?
Yeah, something like this. Yeah. So anywhere from $50 to $150 is what we charge. So we don't do like more expensive like payments. And what we found actually over the last couple of months is a lot of people like they can't afford $200 or $250. And so we're getting a lot of move-ins because we kind of cater to that like cheaper market, cheaper area. But like we just bought one in January and it was 100% full. Nobody was paying. and nobody had paid for years. So we had to go through the auction process, and we had like 37, I think 37 or 38 like units that we had to auction off, and all the rest we had to get a hold of. And some people, like we had one guy that he was so far behind, he was like, I don't want to lose my stuff. And so he said, but I don't have any money to pay. And I said, well, why don't you just come work for us, and you can just be our boots on the ground person for the facility. And that's what he does now. He just like mows and like cleans everything up, and like
that was a win-win.
So we're nice like that.
So I love this question from Joey. How do you find mismanaged properties? I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, is it like, driving around?
Yeah, the driving for dollars that we do for wholesale.
I do driving for storage facilities.
Yep.
So you just drive around and
hashtag driving for storage facilities. That's my hashtag. I created it.
When we're looking at, when we're driving around and we're looking at like vacant houses, right? There are a lot of signs that something's messed up. Tall grass. You're looking at newspapers out front. The fascia, the roof, everything needs to be repaired.
It's pretty evident.
It's evident
is what we're saying.
But I have to question about a storage facility. I mean, how are you going to notice that, this row of garage doors is, jacked up?
You don't. You have to the best thing about driving for storage facilities and looking for storage facilities this way, and it is time consuming, honestly, it is, but I get like the best deals, Yeah. But essentially is the best thing about it is that the phone number is like right on the sign.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to look anybody up.
When I'm driving around and I see a storage facility, I'll just call and be like, hey, would you be interested in selling?
Yeah.
And,
easy peasy.
And 9 out of 10, they say
I've gotten
yes.
several storage facilities that way.
So when you go and when you cold call and say, hey, would you be interested in selling? When you go and make your offer, do you say, yeah, I'm looking, do you base it on, you go, okay, well, this is the income you're bringing in and I need like a 10 cap or whatever you're looking for? And you base
you can't say that to these types of sellers.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't understand.
Because they don't understand this.
So you just go in and you just say.
What you say is like, hey, like my name is Stacy Rossetti, and I actually own a couple other storage facilities in the area, and I'm looking to buy another one. Would you be interested in selling? And or if you don't have any, what you would say is like, hey, like my name is Stacy Rossetti, and my wife and I, or my husband and I, have been really thinking about buying a storage facility, and we're just calling around to see if anybody wants to sell.
Excellent.
And then you get their price, and once they come up with a number, or possibly if they weren't thinking about it at the time, then they're going to ask you, well, what are you willing to pay? Then it's a matter of, well, what's your occupancy rate? What are you charging? What do you make?
Exactly. So then it comes back to the commercial deal analysis.
Yep.
So you've got to understand commercial deal analysis. You've got to ask them questions like, what's your, how much are you making? What are your expenses? What's your gross income? What's your net income? What's your vacancy rate?
And,
do you
and
have
basically
a rent roll?
you're looking to get your T12, right? Your T12 from the past, 12 months
exactly.
of all your expenses.
You want to get your rent roll essentially for the past 12 months or whatever you want to get. Yeah.
Do you ask for
try to get as much information as you can, but most of these people, sometimes they don't really.
It's all verbal.
So what kind of proof of payments do you ask for when doing that? Because as you were saying, some people were just scribbling it down on a yellow pad or on just a receipt book. And, I've been fooled by that before. I mean, even in the last year, I've had people, falsify payment records if somebody was paying in cash. So can you even take that cash into account?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So like if you're buying as is, I mean, they're going to say like, I'm 50% full or whatever. And, most of the time they have no idea what they're full, if they're full or not. Now, sometimes they're honest. Like the one I bought in January, he's like, yeah, we're full, but nobody's paying, just FYI. I think I got $50 in the last couple of months or something. That's what he said. But he was like, please take it off my hands because I hate this property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hate dealing with it. Okay, so there's a lot of people.
Yeah, so that's kind of how they are. They're just like, good old, they're good old people out there just want to sell their facility and ready to move on to the next year, retire and move to Florida.
It's gonna be the people who watch like the 30 seconds of the show that hear Stacy Rossetti go, there's really no work involved. There's no work. It's super easy. And they're going to like run out, buy a storage facility, and then they're going to be like, now what? This sucks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not difficult, but you
2
have to
years
be
later, we're
educated
buying it from
too.
them.
2 years later, we're scooping it up.
Otherwise, we'll actually go out and do that. Go buy a storage facility, and then guess what? One of my students is going to come out and buy you in a couple of years because you ain't going to know how to run it. So educate yourself. As I said, educate yourself on finding them, finding the hidden market, and educate yourself on commercial deal analysis and running the deals, and then finding the money for the deals based on what type of facility is out there, and then what you're interested in. Because every single type, like mismanaged, you have to have private money. You have to have hard money. Cash flowing deals, you can go and get a loan at the bank or whatever. So kind of educate yourself on all the different financial ways you can do it, and then you've got to educate yourself on running it, because once you buy it, it's a whole nother cup of tea in there. You got to be able to run it, number one, so that you're actually making money on it. All right. And then number two, you want to run it so it's actually truly passive income, because storage facilities are supposed to be passive income.
So what are your tips? What are your best tips for making it truly passive? For me, I've got my Airbnbs and my
systemizing,
and I have systemized everything so that I can be anywhere in the world, and I can run my Airbnbs. I'm sure that the same thing can be done with storage. So, what do you do to put into place to make sure that happens?
As I said, you want everything to be electronic. You want everything to be online. That's number one, right? And there's softwares that allow you to do this. And then you want essentially even the auction process is managed online for us. So we have email sequences that go out. Hey, you're behind on your payment. Okay. Oh, you're behind here. Oh, there's an overlock here. Okay. Auction process has started. Okay. The auction is going to happen on this day. Okay. We're 3 days before the auction. We're 2 days before the auction. We're 1 day before the auction. So it's like a whole email sequence from the day they're late until the day that the auction process goes. That is completely automated. And then all we have to do is have our boots on the ground person show up for the auction. That's
Gotcha.
it. And so literally every system that you do within your business should be automated and systematized, something to the effect like that.
Do you do your auctions the same day of the month, every month?
No, we used to, but now we're traveling so much and just do them whenever we either do have our boots on the ground person doing them, or we'll do them when we're back in town.
Well, and that was going to be my question. Do you do that yourself? And then that's just a way to pay some of their back rent, and it comes into your profit, or do you hire it out and get a portion of the proceeds?
No, we usually when everybody thinks about auctions for storage facilities, they think of storage wars. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. I'm gonna tell you, this is not how it is. That's a complete,
that's really?
Wait, you don't get some badass auctioneer and,
Is it, you mean it's not like flipping houses and you get 90% profit margins?
No, it's not like that at all. Okay. So you're going to have an what's going to happen is that you're going to put it in the paper and you're going to have an auction, and either nobody's going to show up or one person's going to show up. And then you're going to open the door, and guess what's going to be in that unit? A whole bunch of crap.
Yeah.
There's nothing going to be in there except for stuff that you don't want and nobody else wants. So you open it up and they look at it and they look like this and they go, $25. And then you just say, take it. I don't care. Just take it. And that's how the auction process works.
Nice.
So, yeah. and I guess they're bidding $25 on the off chance that somebody left their entire collection of gold coins.
Most of the people that show up are thrift store owners or something like this.
So
and we actually now, over the past couple of years, we've kind of gotten our group of people, and we just call them up now and say okay, we're having an auction on this day, and they all come and they bring their trucks. And they pay anywhere from $25 to $50 per unit, and then they just fill their stuff up and go and take it to their thrift store.
And
nice.
So if you're getting a max of $50 per unit, I'm assuming if that's got some furniture or something in it, something that looks halfway decent, and you're only charging $50 to $150, you really want to have these auctions basically within the same month.
We would actually really rather have the tenant pay. Because if the tenant pays, then they're going to be paying $50 a month. Let's just say they're behind $100 or whatever. Then, we want that money rather than $25, because you don't ever really make the money to make up all what's owed to you.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So and plus then also going forward. So I would assume how many people get scared into just paying and then, okay, well, they're serious about this. We're going to continue to pay. Otherwise, they're going to auction off our stuff.
Like of all the auctions that we do, I would say 80 to at least 90% pay.
Okay.
We rarely ever have any auctions. Most of the time, if you set that email sequence up and you're just like, auction process coming, auction process coming, auction process, then after and a lot of people like the very last minute, they're like, I can pay now.
Reminder.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Just reminding them that we are serious.
Automation, they'll pay.
Yeah. Well, so since we know about the distressed properties and going out there and looking for distressed properties, have you done like build from the ground up?
I have not done this. And the reason why is because I'm too lazy.
And she's got a 4-year-old.
And she's got a 4-year-old. Let's be clear.
So that's not going to happen yet.
And vacations are important.
But it's good to do that. You can make a lot of money doing them. It's just that I've done new construction houses before, and I know how much work it is, and I just don't want to do that much work. I just don't want to do it.
Well, and I mean, depending on how expensive your land is, it's actually not too expensive. It's $30 or $40 a square foot to build
a storage facility is going to cost on average about $25 a square foot.
Okay.
Right, so just everybody is. Yeah, so everybody knows.
Again, that depends
so essentially, the way it works is you're going to go out and procure the land. All right, and that's that's money up front that you have to buy, right? So it's a lot of money up front. For new construction, it's a lot of upfront money. So you procure the land, and then you're gonna have to do a feasibility study. Actually, you do a feasibility study first, just to make sure that it's going to be in a good area, and that's going to cost you probably around $5,000, something like this, or more, depending on how big you want it to be. And then you're gonna have to do like environmental studies, maybe like on the soil and things like this. Plus, you're going to have to get the land rezoned, and you want to make sure you're rezoning it. Most of the time, it's light industrial or some sort of commercial. You want to make sure you check with your zoning ordinances to see like what you should rezone it. That takes months to get that property rezoned, unless you buy it and it's already zoned properly, right?
Right. And
then after that, then you can build it, right? And then you can build the facility. But it does take a lot of upfront money, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and so I just don't focus on this. I'd like to just buy them and just be ready to go.
Be ready to roll.
Right.
Making money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, awesome. If there's anybody out there that is listening and would like to ask some questions, feel free. We're getting towards the end of our hour, so I wanted to encourage anybody, if you've got questions about this, definitely hit Stacy up while we've got her on the show. But if you have questions after the show, just put them in our feed and we'll get back to you, or Stacy will respond in that comment feed. And be sure to like and share and all that business.
And Stacy, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
You can check me out at stacyrossetti.com.
Excellent.
Yeah, I liked how easy that was.
That was very easy.
When I was doing the back, trying to figure out, and doing some research and stuff, I was like, oh, well, that's perfect. That makes it super simple.
She has her own page there, and it just pops right up. So,
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Stacy Rossetti. And then you can find me on Facebook or Instagram as well too. Just Stacy Rossetti.
Well, and do you want to go ahead and take a minute to tell people about your mentoring program, because I know you offer that to people and you have students and that are very successful and are doing this as a business model.
And are your students, because you said you have about 40, are they national or?
Yeah.
Are they national or are they local to South Carolina?
I have students all across the country.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can teach anybody anywhere in the United States how to invest in storage facilities. And the program is 1 year long. It's a coaching program. It's a group coaching program. We do like group coaching every other week. I get up and I teach us. You're in my studio right now where I teach, and it's just a Zoom virtual call. And then I'll bring on other speakers or anybody that we need to bring on, like lenders or even other storage facility owners, so they can get on and tell everybody how, what they've done. And and then we do a lot of like commercial deal analysis. Really, that's kind of the big thing, because I teach people essentially how to analyze the deals, but then also how to give like several offers. Right. And then I also do like a one-on-one coaching call on Fridays. So I opened up my Fridays for coaching, and all of my students, whenever you need help, you can just schedule a call with me, and then we'll just do like a coaching call. So I got off the phone with a couple of students this morning. They have like one student just got a deal under contract, and they're trying to figure out like, okay, what's the next steps? How does the whole closing process work? They've never closed on a deal before. The very first property they've ever closed on is a storage facility.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. And then we have like another one that she went driving around for storage facilities, and guess what? In Dallas, Texas area, right where y'all are at, she went driving around for storage facilities and found a dumpy old storage facility and called them up, and they want to sell. And she was like freaking out. She's like, "Oh my God, he actually wants to sell!" Like at the price that she offered, which is an awesome price. So that's actually it was $200,000. He wants $200,000 for the property, which is probably worth at least $300,000 to $350,000 as is, and it's mismanaged. Right,
Nice.
it's a mismanaged
That's
property.
Yep.
So the cap rate after they fill it up, because of the price that she's going to get it at, is going to be in the 20% range.
Nice.
Right, because she's getting it at such a huge discount, and all she did was drive around and just call sellers. And so she was freaking out. So I kind of helped her on the phone. It's like, okay, now do this, and this is what you got to do. So
Well,
that's
and
kind of what the coaching calls are.
awesome.
And then we do 2-day boot camps. So every couple of months we do like a 2-day boot camp, and they're virtual. And so then, and then we can, so nobody has to travel. And then we just like, I teach for 2 days, commercial deal analysis, how to find private lenders, how to run your facilities, how to automate them. And that's basically what the coaching program is about.
Well, and that's great that you do the deal analysis, because I think that's the scariest part for anybody. I mean, whether they're getting into residential, that's usually the first step for most people. But the deal analysis of, how do I know it's a good deal? Who's going to tell me it's a good deal?
Right.
I mean, it sounds like a good deal, but I don't know. So that's
Well, and until you've done commercial deal analysis, it's
extensive,
It's
and
extensive.
it's definitely different than your residential.
right. And you've got to, and it's
Exactly.
a lot of the is vocabulary and just learning the mathematical equations and building your spreadsheets and understanding what you're looking at.
Yes,
So.
exactly. All the financials are really kind of the hardest part for everybody. And so that's basically what the coaching calls. They're always saying like, is this a good deal? I just want to make sure. I had one, she got on a contract. She says, I just want you to tell me that this is a good deal. And I said, it's a great deal.
It's a
Go
great
get
deal.
it.
Yeah.
That's what a coach does. That's basically
Absolutely.
what a coach does. Is we're just reassuring that you're on the right path. We're there to guide you, help you. Essentially, I attribute all of my success to coaches. I mean, from the day one I started in real estate, I've had a coach, right? And that's how I've done so much in the past 10 years. And I highly recommend, if you want to get into real estate investing, hire a coach, no matter what niche you want to get into, because it'll just make everything so much easier for you.
So we've got a question from Masha. Do you check if there are new projects coming up, new self-storage developments in the area?
What was the question?
Do you check to see if there are new self-storage
developments.
projects?
Yep.
Right. So if you notice that something's being developed and you're like, oh yeah, that looks like it's going to be a self-storage facility, do you take note of that? I mean, will that affect, say,
Your business?
your business, or a self-storage down the street, or is there
Yes,
just so much
definitely.
demand for this?
Yes. So the way that storage facilities work is, remember that it goes off of square footage, right? And so you want to look at the population of the area that you're going to be at within a 3-mile radius, and you divide that population by the total amount of square footage of storage facilities in the area. All right, so you're going to have to figure out how to calculate the total square footage within a 3-mile radius, and then you divide that by the population. It should be around 6 to 7. So you want to make sure that you're looking at that formula. So that's another, formula that you can learn
what's
in the
your
self-storage
top
world.
what's your top threshold of a number for that?
6 to 7.
6 to
to
7.
7.
So as long as you stay below 6 to 7 on
Well, it depends on your location, but on average, 6 to 7 is a good round number to use.
okay. So if you hit 8, then move on. Don't buy
A little
that.
high. Yeah, it's a little high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you also, what you have to realize is that you got to make sure that you're calculating, like for mismanaged, like the difference between like a mismanaged property and a cash flowing property as well too.
Sure.
So what if you're calculating the square footage, and you have to call the competitors and kind of see, like, are you full or not full?
Right.
Right. that kind of thing as well, so you have to take that into consideration.
And so you do that in your due diligence before you buy something.
Before you buy it. Yeah.
Yes. We call all competitors. We're about to buy a facility. It's about 150 units or so. And so it's $550,000. And we called all the competitors within a 10-mile radius and asked them, like, are you full or not full? And most of them are all full.
Wow.
Yes. And then you're like, okay, there's a need.
Yes, There's definitely a need. Yes. And this facility is a mismanaged facility because he's operating his storage facility at like 0.31 cents per square foot. And you want to be around, like you have to know your area, but you want to be around like between 0.5 and 0.6 cents per square foot. So there's a 20 cent increase that you can do as well for that. So it's a value add, essentially. What I'm saying is that you're adding value to the property by increasing the rates and getting it at a discounted rate.
So, I mean, basically, it's kind of like pulling comps for residential as well. You're out there doing your due diligence. You're calling all of these facilities, making sure, you know what their vacancy rate is, what they're charging, and that's the way that you can analyze your property.
What size units.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like it's pulling comps, but it's comps, but it's like competitors. It's comps
exactly.
for competitors.
Typically, how long does it take you to fill up one of these units once you decide that you're taking on one of these mismanaged units? How long does it take you to fill that up? Raising the rent or otherwise?
Give it some time. So I say a year.
A year.
All right. Give it some time. So it takes a little time because what you have to do, remember, on the run, so you find them, you fund them, and you run them. On the run part, you need to realize that you're running a business, a retail business. So what you have to do is you have to learn how to market. Mm-hmm. Like putting a sign in the front of the facility is just not going to get you
anything.
That was my next question into that was, how are you marketing to get people in?
Yeah, so you need to learn like Google Analytics, Google AdWords, Facebook. I mean, because what happens? How does somebody find a storage facility? They either drive by it,
or they Google it
in their area, or they're going online and saying storage facility Atlanta or storage facility Dallas.
5 mile radius, and one near me.
Yeah, exactly. Storage facility near me is what I would type in.
That's how they do it. So you want to be at the top of the list when they do that.
Yep.
So you have to learn how to do that. Is what you have to learn. Yeah, and that's something that I do teach in the coaching program because people don't know how to market, really. They just don't know how to do marketing, online marketing. Most people don't know how to do online marketing.
Yeah. I mean, and we find that in all facets of real estate investing, period. It's a whole nother, there's a reason why there's a degree for it. Like, it's a whole nother job.
But it's not just real estate investing either.
No, it's everything.
It's any entrepreneur out there needing to learn, okay, how do I attract my customers? Where do I find them?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I said. Most small businesses fail within the first couple of years. And the reason, Kai, is they don't focus on the run part of their business. How do you actually run a business to make money? And marketing is, a huge part of that whole business.
Yep.
So Wilson Flemister Jr., thanks for watching, asked, how long of due diligence do you ask for?
I push it out at least 30 days, but I shoot for 60 days. I push it as far as I possibly can. And right now I'm playing the COVID card.
Yep.
I'm playing I'm just like,
whatever can work.
Whatever we can do.
Like, it's going to take a long time and also commercial like titles. It takes a long time to run commercial title.
Yeah.
It just does.
It's just more of a process.
As far as you can.
So due diligence 60 days and then 30 days to close. Or are you saying 60 days close? 90 days close?
I do 60 to 90 days close. I usually do my due diligence the same amount as my close date.
Yeah.
I do. I try to do that. Yeah.
If they'll accept it, hey.
Yeah, I mean, the guy that I put in, the one that I'm buying now, he accepted it. He was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, he wants to be done.
I'm telling you, storage facility owners are just kind of like, now the thing with the storage facility owner that you have to understand is that they want, you can't mail them a letter. You can't mail a letter. Like, they want that connection. They're an unmotivated seller, right? So they want that relationship. So every single storage facility owner that I've ever bought a storage facility from, I'm spending hours with them. Like, they're taking me. He took me and showed me his land and his cows and his house and his daughter's house was over here.
That does not sound like
that's
no
what you're
work
doing.
to me. That sounds like a lot of work to me.
Yeah, but that's also, that's building that relationship so that they sell to you and not somebody else.
She's like, there's no work at all. That was a ton. Going
Yeah.
and looking at someone's cows. That's,
That's the same. If you're trying to
Exactly.
list somebody's house, sometimes that's what you end up doing. You're meeting like the extended family and, now you're invited to a wedding. It's building that relationship.
Exactly. And that's how it is for sellers as well, too. You've got to build the relationship. So a lot of people are like, isn't there an easier way to get storage facilities? The good ones? No.
no.
Yep.
You got to
Right.
drive. You got to drive for dollars. You got to cold call.
Yep.
You got to
Right,
go.
for storage facilities.
You got to go look at some cows.
Go look at cows.
I'm telling you.
Gotta go
I'm
do that
telling
all.
you. That's what you got to do.
Well, another question was, as far as the storage community, like the people out there, the investor community that's out there, is it strong? Is it supportive, competitive, cutthroat? What would you say? Because I know you mentioned it was small.
Very, very supportive. Very,
Awesome.
very supportive. We're all out. We're all helping each other. So
I
you
love
can just
that.
go. What I
I
would
do
do is
too.
just go onto
Yeah.
Facebook and just type in like storage group. Like, so, and like there's so many Facebook groups there. So just join them and then just start watching all the questions and stuff. And there's a lot of newbies in the group, but then there's a lot of oldies too. And then we help each other out. It's like, where do we find our latches? And where do we get our doors? And like, do you think this is a good deal? Or would you do this? And you can actually do that as well.
I love that.
I do too.
We've built a really strong investor community here in the DFW area. And that's actually how Kristin and I met, is through that community. And it has just kind of blown up. Orion was a big part of that. Propelio was a big part of that. All of these things came together at one time, whereas before everybody was kind of their own little entity doing their own thing. And I'm not going to tell you anything, you're a competitor.
Yeah.
But now everybody kind of works together so seamlessly and we know each other. So it's kind
Yeah,
of
and this
neat.
is how Atlanta is too, and that's why I joined. That's why I started the South Atlanta area, was because I wanted to surround myself with people that are going to be like me, that's sharing information and helping each other grow. So, yeah, so that's why I love the storage industry, because I'm very community oriented. If anybody knows me, they know I'm very community oriented. So, I love the storage industry because it is very community oriented.
That is so cool to hear. Well, I'm so happy you took the time to talk with us today. This has been extremely informative.
Yeah, I've
Thank
loved
you
it.
very much.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Meet you.
yeah, nice to meet you guys too. I appreciate you guys letting me come on and talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you guys, if anybody has any questions, just throw them down there in the comments and we will get to you if it's something that you want to ask Kristin and I, or if it's something specifically for Stacy, definitely put it in there. Your question may be a question that 5 other people were asking and just didn't take the time to write down. So definitely take the time to make a comment, or if you just enjoyed it, share, subscribe, all of that business. Any parting thoughts? And again, tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, so and I do have a YouTube page as well. It's not as awesome as y'all's is, but Stacy Rossetti Teaches. If you do Stacy Rossetti Teaches, and you can see I have some free webinars out there on storage facility stuff, so you can watch those as well. And then Stacy Rossetti on Facebook, or stacyrossetti.com. You can find me there as well.
And can we share those YouTube videos to our page as well?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Excellent.
absolutely. As I said, I wish more people were investing in storage, because it's the best. I think it's the best secret in the industry.
Well, I know you got our minds thinking.
Absolutely.
I don't know why it took us 2 years to have this conversation on here. Well, I'm Jerleigh Thompson with Texel Real Estate, and
Are you looking for brokers still?
or
not
you mean
brokers, agents,
Yeah,
excuse me.
actually, I just talked to about 6 agents yesterday that I think are about to sign on. So all over Texas, I'm a member of almost every board here in Texas. So if you're an agent and you're looking to switch, or if you just want to talk about what Texel has to offer, please just reach out. And then I'm also in the market for picking up another property in the Arlington area. If you've got something, I'd like to pick it up for a buy and hold.
Good to know.
Yep.
And I am Kristin Gerst. I own Capricorn Mortgage Investments. I'm always looking for your owner finance mortgage notes to buy. Right now I have way more money than I have paper, which is really concerning to me.
Yeah.
I'm also starting a coaching group and a new YouTube channel called Passing Notes.
I love it.
Yay!
Yay. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining Real Estate Divas, and thank you so much, Stacy, for being with us today.
Thank you.
Enjoy the 4th of July.
You too. Happy 4th.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye, you guys.